Lesson 8-7, percent of a number. And in this lesson, you learn to find the percent of a number. When are you ever going to use this? Knowing how to find the percent of a number can help you determine the sale price of a skateboard. Let's take a look at this example. According to the graph, 20% of parents buy shoes for their children every 4 to 5 months. If 2,500 parents were surveyed, how many said that they purchase shoes for their children every 4 to 5 months? So if you look at take a look at the pictograph right there. Okay, don't know 1%. Okay, once a month 6%. 2 to 3 months will be 36%. Every 4 to 5 months 20%. 2 times 0 27%, and 10% for once a year. So it's asking here to find 20% of 2,500. You can change the percent to a fraction or to a decimal, then multiply it by the number, or you can also use a model. So method number 1, change a percent, okay, to a fraction. That's our method. Change a percent to a fraction. So we get 20%, okay, is equal to 20 over 100, or simply 1/5. That was from our last lesson. So we get 1/5 of 2,500. Okay, let me tell you this right now, that the word of in math is always translated to a multiplication sign. So when you see the word of in math, you know that's always multiplication. Okay, so 1/5 of 2,500 equals 1/5 times 2,500, or 500. Okay, so how do we do that? Again, for those of you who forgot, 2,500 is 2,500 over 1, and we simply cross cancel 5 and 2,500, and this is 1 and this is 500. So we simply multiply 1 times 500, and that'll give you 500. Okay, the next method, okay, first method is change the percent to a fraction. The next method is change the percent to a decimal. So we want to change the percent of the decimal, and remember 20% is the same as, okay, remember what I told you, the shortcut method for doing this. 20%, if you're making this into a decimal, get that decimal. Again, the decimal of a whole number is always at the end of the number, and move it 2 spaces to the left. There. So 20% as a decimal is equal to 0.2. Okay, and then we find 0.2 of 2,500, or multiply 0.2 times 2,500. Okay, easiest way to do this is multiply 2 times 25. Okay, so 2 times 25 is 50. Add the 2 zeros, 1, 2, and then simply count the number of decimal places, which is only 1, number of digits after the decimal point, which is 1, and simply move that decimal 1 space to the left. That gives you a number of 500. Okay? Method number 3 is using a model. This is one method that I probably would not suggest because it's too cumbersome and too tedious. But let's look at it anyway. So since 20% is equal to 1/5, okay, we know that. Separate the rectangle into fifths, and that's exactly what we did. Separate it into fifths. Label the top and bottom in equal intervals. If it's separated into fifths, that means this is a 0%, 20%, 40%, 60%, and 100%. The next thing to do is to divide 2,500 into fifths as well. So you now have 0, 500, 100, 1,000, sorry, 1,500, 2,000, and 2,500. And then we simply shade, since 20%, we're only shading 20%. So we shade that part, and if you notice, it is 500. So 20% of 2,500 is 500 using a model. Model number 4, definitely we will not be using this for a very long time, is using a calculator. Or you simply get 20, punch in second, and the percent sign multiplied by 2,500. That'll give you 20 or 500. Okay? So those are 4 methods. we'll probably concentrate on method 1 and method 2. So let's find 20% of 250 by changing the percent into a fraction. So we want to change this into a fraction. So 24% is the same as 24 over 100. In simplest form, it's 6 over 25. Okay, and then 6 over 25, okay, times 250, okay, because the word of means multiplication. So we do cross cancelling, okay. GCF of 25 and 250 is 10. So this is 1 and 10, and you end up with 60. So 24%, okay, as a fraction is simply 60 over 1 or 60. Okay, take a look at example number 2. Example number 2, you want to find 9% of 105 by changing the percent into a decimal. This is method 2. So we want to create make this into a we want to find 9% of 105, okay, and we want to use method 2, changing the percent into a decimal. So we start off with 9%, which is equal to 9 over 100. Okay, again, when you're dividing 100, you're simply moving the decimal place 2 spaces to the right. So again, we have 9, okay, and we want to convert this into a decimal, like what I told you in the last lesson. The decimal of 9 is here, okay, because the decimal of any whole number will be at the end, okay. So we simply move it 2 spaces to the left, 1, 2, the new decimal point is there, and that's the reason why you have 0.09. And then we simply get 0.09, multiply that by 105, which will give you 9.45. So 9% of 105 is 9.45. Okay, let's use method 3 by using a model. 75% of 256. So since 75% is equal to 3/4, we know this, 75 over 100. Okay, and then we simplify that, that becomes 3/4. Again, let's see how that happened. 75 over 100 is the same as 3 times 5 times 5 prime factorization, and this is the same as 2 times 2 times 5 times 5, and we cross cancel the common factor. That's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 1, that's a 1, and that's why you end up with 3/4. Okay, separate the length into fourths because your fraction is 3/4. That's what we did. That means this is 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And we simply separate or divide 256 into fourths as well. So we have 0, 64, 128, 192, and 256. See how much work this is? And simply shade 3 out of the 4. So 1, 2, 3. And using the model method, okay, and this is how you find 192 is 3/4 of 356. 256, I'm sorry, is 192. By using the calculator, this is the no-brainer stuff of this, which you will probably not use. You get 0.5, okay, second percent, multiply that by 188, end up with 0.94. Okay, and the secret word for this particular lesson would be Lexus. Secret word is Lexus. Let's take a look at the last example, example number 5. According to a survey, 31% of parents named road construction and traffic when asked what they'd like to avoid on a family vacation. Okay, so if you look at this one, 31% of them said road construction and traffic, things to avoid on a family vacation. So if 3,000 parents were surveyed, how many said they'd like to avoid road traffic and construction? Sorry, road construction and traffic. I read it wrong. So first, we need to find out what the problem is asking for and what we know. We need to know the number of parents out of 3,000 who said to avoid construction and traffic. So we want to find, okay, we want to find 31% of 3,000. So we want to find 31% of 3,000. So what did we talk about? Of is always multiplication. So we want to multiply, okay, 31% by the parent surveyed, which is 3,000. So first we estimate 30%. 31% is close to 30%, or 3 over 10. So if we estimate 3/10 of 3,000, our answer should be close to 900. Okay, but let's solve this now. 31%, we want to use a decimal, changing the percent into a decimal, then multiplying. So I have 30%, 31% is 31 over 100, or simply 0.31. Okay, and then we get 0.31 times 3,000 will give us 930. So out of the 3,000 parents, 930 said they'd like to avoid construction, road construction, and traffic. And check the answer by comparing it to the estimate. 930 is close to the estimate, which is 900. So our answer is correct. And that's the end of our lesson, boys and girls. Thank you for watching.